Welcome to the podcast on jasonsolomons.com. I'm joined by Matt Ross, director and writer of Captain Fantastic, which is fantastic. Congratulations, Matt.
Thank you, sir.
I say fantastic because, it's a great US indie film, and it struck me when I was watching it, I just don't see enough of these anymore. I kind of grew up on this stuff, and are they making less of it? Are we just getting to see less of it?
Well, as we were saying before we started the podcast, we were talking about the state of global cinema. I can't speak for the entire world. I can only speak for what I observe in the United States. It seems to me that there has been a seismic shift in how people are consuming films and the independent space. They're still being made, and I think with the advent of digital cinema has increased the amount of films being made. I think that's pretty clear. I think if you talk to the people who run Sundance Film Festival, which is the largest and most prominent U.S. independent film festival, or actually probably the most prominent film festival in the United States, they will say that their submissions have gone up, exponentially since the advent of digital cinema. That probably means there's far more films that are being made that are crap, but that also means there's a lot of great films being made, and how you consume those films or the distribution channel, I think, is probably clogged. And aside from that, though, I think that the rise of the quality of U.S. premium cable has had a huge impact on getting people off their couch. I mean, I think the equation used to be how do we get people off the couch into the cinema? People are on their couch, and I think even the television studios are having this discussion. Well, we have them on their couch. How do we get them to watch our program on the couch? Because there's so many. So I think clearly it's that. I think it's also, and I'm not the first person to say this, but I think that really the U.S. studios seem to be servicing cinemas in China and Russia more than they're servicing the cinemas in the U.S. And so what they're making, the adult film, and by that I do not mean the pornographic film, but the film aimed at grown-ups, has really segued onto television more, or as you say, the independent space has to fill that. But
so, in a way, we are lucky to get to see yours. I mean, yours comes from the producers that did, Half Nelson, terrific film, Blue Valentine. These are terrific films, but they come along like breaths of fresh air, as did Captain Fantastic as well, which is almost about a breath of fresh air, in fact.
For me as well. I mean, I can't speak for my own film, because when I see it, all I see are all the mistakes and all the things I wish I could make better. But
what are you, Woody Allen here?
No, just my own broken self. I run to foreign cinema for that exact drug as well, I mean, and for independent film, we, and again, as I was saying, I mean, those desires are filled for me largely in HBO and Showtime and in the States, and Amazon and Netflix, and they make long form, nuanced, complex narratives for adults. But I mean, when I travel frequently in many cities, I run to the art house cinema to get that, and it's I was saying I don't think it's ever going to go the way of the ballet or the opera, where we're going to pay £100 to see a film, but there's certainly, you have to. I think that everyone's expectations are changing for what they can do financially.
Well, we're still, it may not be £100, but it's still a night to go to the cinema is still, a costlier exercise than perhaps, sitting on your couch, especially for a certain age group where they have to get like babysitters and things like that. Friends of mine who get married, they said, and have children, the first thing that goes is the trip to the cinema. It's interesting. Your film it's sort of about those decisions as well as about how you operate as a family, because Viggo takes his 6 children and lives off the grid, to use a Jason Bourne term. Is there a lot of that going on in America? I would suppose you would call them alternative living. Yes. And in fact, you grew up a bit in an alternative living community.
I did. As I said before, my mother was part of starting some alternative living communities, and again, it was the 1980s, not the 60s, and these people weren't hippies. In some of the communities I lived in, little collectives, some of the homes had electricity and plumbing, and some did not. In the summertime, we lived in a teepee. That's the really only bit about the film that is autobiographical in nature. I think that.
Were you homeschooled?
I was not. I went to a public school. It was very far away. I mean, we were very isolated. At one point, we were, 8 miles from a cement road and 45 minutes from a general store that was literally called the General Store, and about an hour and a half from a town of 1,000. So it was very rural. And I remember feeling very palpably at a certain age when I hit adolescence and began, I was attracted to the opposite sex, and I wanted to be around kids my own age, and the only other person around was my brother, and we wanted to kill each other most of the time, and I felt very isolated, and I wanted to leave the forest. Those are the only bits that I would say are autobiographical. The rest, the personal does not need to be autobiographical, and most of the film I would say is aspirational. It's about my grappling with being a father and my questions, many questions I had about being a father and the kind of father I want to be and aspire to be. And
so I guess there are two personal aspects. There's the Viggo Mortensen character who's the father, which is where you are now writing and directing it. But there's the oldest kid in it, played by British actor George Mackay, who I know very well. Watched him grow up. And has he grown up? He's grown up big and strong. Extraordinary. I'm very glad you picked him because I didn't know he was on the grid in America. But it's really great to see him. And he does a terrific, soulful performance, which he's got in these wonderful eyes, George has. But was that kind of, because that's what I say, there's two, but there's the Viggo dad character that you must have been in his shoes as well.
I think when I was writing it, I was thinking a great deal about fatherhood and parenthood, really, and that was the thing that was on my mind, and that's what I thought the film was about, if it was about anything. And then only retroactively did I realize that that I was far closer to the George character, really, in terms of any, my biography. That was his journey, though I was younger than is depicted in the film. The palpable need to leave the forest, and then
because he becomes attracted to the opposite sex. Yes, it's the kind of, and it does strike me in films about communes. There's a Danish film, Thomas Winterberg's film, The Commune, at the moment. Filmed the wonderful film by Lucas Moodysson called Together.
I have seen that film. It's a beautiful film.
Often sex is the thing that corrupts the idyll of the commune. It doesn't happen in your family, thank God. That would be wrong.
It's so true. It's so true. There would be incest if it happened in this film. Yeah. I think that, look, when sometimes films, there are certain aspects, subplots, or bits of the narrative that raise larger questions or that seem to speak to certain things that are going on in society. That was not the film for me. Was not about. It did not enable me to discuss communal living or homeschooling or mental illness. These are all bits of the narrative. I think I was much more concerned with questions of parenthood and the choices we make and how they impact others. And then the rest of that becomes the math of the narrative, because drama is conflict and transformation, and he starts somewhere and ends somewhere else. And so you're building all those elements into the narrative to enrich it and to sort of reflect on certain themes.
Indeed, their situation, the commune itself, the yurt, how they get their tomatoes to grow or their chickens to roost or their water and their filtration, those are become incidental in a way, key obviously to the whole kind of concept, but they are incidental. We kind of brush over those because, as the title suggests, Captain Fantastic, it's about, is this guy a hero? Or there's a kind of irony running through that. Is he not? Is he being irresponsible or is he responsible?
Yeah, exactly. And I think also, sometimes I'm asked what message are you delivering, and I always say I think film is a really poor medium to deliver a message. And I know there's that famous Samuel Golden quote, I think, which is, if you want to deliver a message, use Western Union. I think that's the quote. And I think that there's on one hand I find that appalling. On the other hand, I think that's true. Really, of what a film can do well is ask a lot of questions, provide a lot of raw material, and ask you to draw your own conclusions. And I think if I had an intention, it's that. I also wanted to attempt to create a piece of art that was intellectually stimulating and emotionally moving. I think that the drug I'm always seeking when I go to the cinema, the holy grail for me, is a film that causes me to reflect on my own life, to ask questions about my own behavior, and also I feel something. I want to laugh. I want to cry. I want to have an emotional experience.
It did strike me that what was interesting seeing Captain Fantastic, and it's the self-community, hero of your own story, they've set up this cell in a way that it's off the grid. You're doing great now with Silicon Valley, which I never thought I would like at all, because I don't understand computers at all. But what you do there is set up this own society. Silicon Valley is its own America, and you're a star of that show. Tell us where that is and how that is.
I think I'm a co-star. Yeah. I would say that
one of the stars.
Yes, there we go. I'm on the secondary level. Well, look, the credit goes to Mike Judge and Alec Berg and Dan O'Keefe and Clay Tarver, who make up the brain trust of that show. They are the authors of that show, and They make math captivating and funny, which is no small feat.
Yeah. And capitalism.
Yes, they do. I think the thing that's surprising for me as a viewer, and I really am as well as I happen to be in it, but I also observe it. What's so great about the show, aside from being extraordinarily funny, is it's a sort of very complex workplace drama as well. And you see what I see is the difficulty. We read about the tech industry a lot. All of us. It's part of our culture. We all have computers. We all have smartphones. We're all aware of these billionaires and jockeying for position and these new companies rising and falling all the time. It's very much part of our culture now. But you see the kind of you see the day-to-day of what it would be like to have a startup and how difficult it is to navigate that culture, which I knew nothing about. I mean, frankly, in terms of research, I read some biographies and did some research on some tech, titans. But it's my character is an amalgamation, I think, of many men, and I'm not riffing on anyone specific. Yeah. And
it's such a match. It is about a show about machismo in a way, sure. And that's why it struck me watching Captain Fantastic. I was like, this is the guy that you often see kind of becoming a tech titan and talking all this tech algorithm stuff. You want to take yourself away from that. Go live in the Pacific Northwest with Viggo Mortensen.
Well, it's purely coincidental because I wrote the script probably at least a year and a half before I read Silicon Valley. So I think, there are some things that are in the zeitgeist that we're all reflecting upon, and one of them is technology. And I say this often, we all have mobile offices, right? You, at any given moment, your editors expect to be able to get a hold of you on your phone at 8:30 at night, or send you an email and expect a response. We all
damn them.
Damn them. We all, but we my wife and I for her, I'm like, why? I texted you. It's been 3 minutes. What the hell is going on? Is everything okay? We live in that culture of instant gratification, and we expect it. It's clearly not healthy. And I can go outside. We're in London right now. I go outside, and you sit on the corner, and people are not only smoking cigarettes, but aside from that, you look around, and 98% of the people are either walking down the street or standing there looking at their smartphone. No one's actually present, and we all grapple with that.
And indeed, that's what's refreshing about Captain Fantastic, because Viggo as a dad is right in the moment. He may be domineering, he may be kind of commanding that moment, but he's not on his cell phone distracted by a text message from the office or sports updates or whatever.
He's the opposite. He's present at all times, and that's perhaps an impossibility. I mean, Viggo likes to say there's no perfect parent and there's no perfect way to be a parent, and I think that's true. And he is clearly if the eldest, played by George Mackay, is around 17 or 18 years old, he's been doing this before, not before computers, but before smartphones. And he's made a choice to remove them from many bits of modern life. Technology is one of them. I mean, I think for me, endings are meanings, and we can't speak for the end of the film because people haven't seen it yet. But when you get to the end, I hope that's where I end up. My analysis of how to navigate this world is, and it deals with equilibrium and balance and moderation. And I personally choose to live in the modern world. My 9-year-old plays video games. I think video games some of them present extraordinarily imaginative worlds that I think it's good for his little brain to play around in. He's not playing first-person shooters that are not age-appropriate, where he's going around murdering people.
Indeed, there's a wonderful scene where they do go to visit their cousins in suburban America, and after dinner they go and play, I think it's an Xbox. But their face, you shoot in reflection, you shoot you do pan across the kids, or like horror at this kind of monster shoot 'em up game.
Ultra-violence.
And I'm with you on that. When I kind of see my kids, I just never want to get them.
It really is about, they're tools. I mean, I think all of these things are tools, and that's ultimately my point, that video games, it's a way for him to navigate an imaginative world, and it's as long as he's also riding his bike and doing sports and reading voraciously, then it's just another thing. If he's spending all day in front of the computer, it's a problem. Yeah. But if it's just one of the many things he's doing, I think it's fine. It's about balance. And
I did wonder in your film Captain Fantastic whether he teaches Chomsky and the Bill of Rights to his children. No, I wondered if at one point they were going to have because they don't have movies up there, and I wondered if they were going to sit around and watch like an old movie projected onto like a canopy, the forest canopy.
Idea. That's not a bad. I mean, if you think of some film as I don't know, high art is such.
It is literature,
but it's sure, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you were mentioning Bresson early on. He could show them Jacques Tati films, or Godard, or Kurosawa, or Martin Scorsese.
You've opened up another Captain Fantastic film program night.
Like that.
Yeah,
I think he should have one.
indeed. Because you were the closing night at Somerset House, open air screen. One of those in the forest. That's good. Let's program what he would show. Viggo would show to his children. That's a follow up.
He would start with what's the one the man in the moon, or the one with the
Méliès.
Yes, the Méliès. Yeah, we have to start there, don't we?
Yeah.
Or the train coming into the station.
They would run away.
The Lumière. I think we have to start there.
Yes. Okay. Well, let's start at the beginning of cinema all the way.
I think we need to. If we're going to do it, we have to do it correctly.
That's what Captain Fantastic would want. Matt Ross, lovely to share those responses to your film with you. I really enjoyed it. I wish you the best of luck with it, because God knows indie films need that. So please,
need help.
Please may it break out. A little help from the Cry of the Forest.
Yes, we do need help.
And good luck with Silicon Valley. Long may that continue.
Thank you. I hope it does as well. Thank you.